welcome to the moon. I'm your host, Renali Sylvain. This is episode 1. I'm pretty excited. I'm also a bit intimidated because the topics I'll be covering involve Bitcoin, blockchain, finance, and investing, which are absolutely very challenging and vast topics, like multiple layers of specialized knowledge integrated into one. I'll try to explain it all as simply as possible. I'm not sure how, the direction that this channel will take. I have my bread and butter will be these subjects, and I'll try to stick on them as much as possible. But these topics tend to kind of trail off into other aspects of life because obviously money has to do with all aspects of life and it involves everyone. So it tends to become a contentious topic. But with that said, I want to start out by saying a little bit about my history in Bitcoin and my education. So I first read about Bitcoin in March 2013. Bitcoin was trading at $60. I read a Globe and Mail article, and in that Globe and Mail article, I had no idea what it was, never heard of it, and they, the article said it was a scam and all this stuff, but I didn't really pay attention to too much what the article said. The word Bitcoin, was just such a unique word that I'm just like, I got to look this up on Wikipedia. So I read the Wikipedia page of Bitcoin, and because of my educational background, I was pretty much converted right away. There was no turning back. And this, this is a common theme among Bitcoiners. Like as soon as they reach an aha moment, they dive right in and there's no turning back. Oh, by the way, I'm going to try to keep this episode below 20 minutes. It's been 2 minutes and 30 seconds. I'm timing myself. So below 20 minutes. So the no turning back point for me pretty much happened right away. Read the Wikipedia article. Because I studied computer science and finance and accounting in university. I graduated with a Bachelor of Management specialization in finance and accounting. And but I started in computer science, so I have knowledge set in computer science. And then after my degree, I also took a year-long course in power engineering 4th class. And anybody who knows what that is knows it's not really engineering. You're not making things, but you are operating the things that engineers make. You're an operator. But it's a really good base knowledge, power engineering is. But yeah, with those things, computer science, finance and accounting, and power engineering, when I read about Bitcoin, I was very fortunate because I had the specific background to really just kind of almost get it right away. Like just be like, okay, well, this is significant. I should pay attention. This is probably going to affect my life and everybody else's life. Not only is it a good investment opportunity, but it's a tool that you're going to have to use in day-to-day life eventually. So after that, I studied probably for a solid 6 months all the stuff that I didn't understand about Bitcoin, like cryptography. That was something I had to cover and that I didn't know. So after about 6 months, I decided to, I thought the world was going to like completely change. Like I thought there was going to be so much change so quickly because everyone would realize this amazing technology. But it turns out, the world is, there's regulation, there's government, people need to, get along on this planet. And, I thought war was going to break out because, money changing its function or the way money functions is, there's a lot of wars that were fought over financial resources or resources in general. And I moved to Vancouver because I was like, oh, what's the safest place in Canada? I figured Vancouver is probably the most chill and safest place. So anyway, I've been in Vancouver for the last 7 years, and I've been a part of the Vancouver community or there's Vancouver Bitcoin and cryptocurrency community for that long. But since 2017, I've kind of just gone on my own. Obviously, 2017 was a very life-changing event for me when the 2017 Bitcoin bubble happened. Obviously, it changed my it obviously changed my life. I guess, I work for myself, and I'm gonna start this podcast and see where it leads. And I guess in a way, I feel like I have benefited so greatly from Bitcoin that I think there's a lot of people that are asking me questions now, family and friends, and they want to know more. So I'm going to use this podcast or this medium of communication to help them and help anybody else that wants to listen, and potentially maybe even make a little bit of a living from it. That would be really cool. If that doesn't happen, that's fine. I'm able to take this risk and put in this effort to do these shows. But yeah, that's a little bit about my history. That's my education. That's my time in Bitcoin. Obviously, I've been paying attention to the industry for that long. It moves really fast. There's a lot happening, but it's all very exciting, and I think lots of people want to know about it. So I'm gonna do my best at communicating what I can. The rest, yeah, the bulk of, well, maybe not the bulk, but the bulk of this episode, I'm actually just gonna explain an article that I read early on. Like in future episodes, I'll explain the intricacies of Bitcoin and how it all works, but I just feel like that's too heavy to start a first episode on. So I'm just going to project to you guys, using an analogy, how big Bitcoin and the change that's coming will have on the world, or the how big the change will be on the world. Obviously, you can tell I'm a little bit nervous doing this podcast, but I'm going to give it a shot anyway. So, I read an article by Tur de Meester. I forget when, very, very soon after I learned about Bitcoin. Tur de Meester is an early Bitcoiner, and he wrote an article about equating the change or the potential opportunity that Bitcoin presents to the discovery of oil. And there's a lot of really interesting analogies, or a lot of really interesting aspects about that analogy that definitely ring true to me today, because I've already seen 7 or 8 years of what's happened since I read that article. And so I read that article like 7-8 years ago. And basically, when oil was discovered, the primary source of oil at that time was whale oil. The people working in the whaling industry, they would go out on boats and they would risk their lives, and they would be away from home for long periods of time, and it was just super dangerous, and there's injuries and accidents and deaths, and people would make lots of money, and they would capture whales and extract whatever oil out of that resource they possibly could, and use that for heat lamps and or machine oil and whatever else they use them for. I don't know all the use cases of that type of oil, but when they discovered oil, some people from that industry took the risk to start extracting fossil fuel oil. And they saw fossil fuel oil as a potential way to not only replace what the commodity that whale oil produced, but also all the extra things you could do with fossil fuel oil. Obviously, they discovered that later on, but aviation fuel or plastics or just regular gasoline. The investors, entrepreneurs, technologists, scientists, and even laborers who took the risk to move to the fossil fuel oil industry made vast, like, I guess I can't understate. Let me just look at my time here. I guess you can't understate. Obviously, we know that now how much of a fortune the early, the Rockefellers or the T. Boone Pickens, or, well, no, T. Boone Pickens was, I think he might have been a corporate raider, but I think he maybe had oil assets as well. But vast wealth were were born from that transition. And there was so much parallel between those two industries, the whale oil industry and the fossil fuel industry, that it just, the analogy really fits well for the old financial system and the new financial system, which is Bitcoin and Ethereum and blockchain. The people in the old financial system, they're really good with spreadsheets, and they're data orientated and analytical, and they definitely like the comfort of their office that they don't want to leave. And they some of them are really good at computer programming and kind of tech, not deep tech savvy, but decently technologically capable people. And Bitcoin and blockchain, it's very much the same skill set. So the people taking the risk now, like with me, it's interesting because I never actually worked in the financial system. I just studied it, and I just straight up kind of skipped it and went straight to the Bitcoin and blockchain, ecosystem, and based my life around it. And I will continue to base my life around it probably for the rest of my life. Well, most likely for the rest of my life. And, me along with everyone else who's early adopters, there's a huge amount of benefit. And that benefit is going to continue on till the entire industry not only takes over all of, basically every function of the old financial system, but just like how the fossil fuel industry had new use cases for the oil that they produced, there will be new use cases for for financial contracts and financial innovation that Bitcoin and blockchain bring that the old financial system couldn't do, especially on a global scale, because the old financial system, it was kind of siloed in various regions, in various countries. There was some global interaction for sure, but Bitcoin and blockchain is natively global. So the simple math that you need to do to decide like how big of an opportunity this is as follows. Depending on who you talk to, but approximately there's like $70 trillion worth of currency out there, valued in US dollars, but 70 trillion of everything: Chinese currency, the euro, Canadian dollar, US dollar, Brazilian real, all of it. It's about $70 trillion. And then gold is about 8 trillion. And if you, I think this number is going to be a little bit off because my estimates have changed what I'm quoting as far as 70 trillion and whatever gold is 8 trillion. If you there's only ever going to be 21 million Bitcoin. And if you divide up $78 trillion by 21 million, you get about 3.7 million. So if all of the money from the old financial system moved into, if all that money went to buy Bitcoin, the price per Bitcoin would move to, something like $3.7 million, which is absolutely ridiculous to even imagine. But it's just like the early days of oil, the volatility. We're in price discovery mode of Bitcoin, and the volatility of oil in the early days was insane. If you look at the price chart of oil back in the early days, it was absolutely crazy. It would go up 1,000 or 1,000%, and then crash down, and then it would settle down for a little while, and then it would go up another 1,000% or whatever it was. I looked at it a long time ago, and I don't remember the exact numbers, but you can look at it and maybe notify me on Twitter or something, which I'll give you my Twitter name at the end of this. But yeah, I can't really project enough how big the opportunity is, except that simple math. It's like, if all the money in the world bought Bitcoin would go to $3.7 million per coin. Now, obviously, not all of that wealth. I mean, that's another thing, is more wealth than just currency and gold could move into Bitcoin, because real estate is used as a store of value, and also stocks is used as a store of value. So some of that value from those industries might move into Bitcoin as well. But at some point in the future, Bitcoin will reach some maturity phase, and it'll balance out and kind of find its place in the world, and whatever price that results to. Yeah, I'm going to take a little bit of a break and drink some water. Okay, we got 2 minutes. The amount of value that's going to go into the industry may not all accrue to Bitcoin. It will probably actually, accrue to a lot of the other blockchain-based assets, and that's where a lot of the uncertainty is. Nobody knows exactly how much is going to accrue to Bitcoin and how much is going to accrue to, say, Ethereum or some of the other altcoins, or some of them shouldn't even be called altcoins, but like they're definitely alts compared to Bitcoin. Bitcoin is the base layer, but they're, maybe like Filecoin isn't. I'm not sure if it's even really a traditional blockchain. It might be a distributed system, but architected differently than a blockchain. Anyway, I'll get into those details in the future. But yeah, there's a lot of uncertainty. There's a lot of opportunity. Hopefully with this show, I'll be able to educate the audience and also learn myself, because there's a lot to learn. Let's see. The rest, I'm probably going to edit out the next 10 seconds. Okay, I'm back. Yeah, with these episodes, I want to enable the audience to ask me questions, because it's hard to choose what to talk about, especially when I'm solo recording here, and I don't have somebody to have a conversation with. So I want to enable questions for now. I don't know how I'm going to enable that through the different, Apple Podcasts or Spotify. I don't think those have questions enabled. But if you want to reach out to me on Twitter at Rene Lee Sylvain, no dash in there like my actual name, but you'll be able to find me. And you can direct message me and ask me questions on there. But in the future, maybe I'll be able to post these on YouTube, and you can post questions on there, and you can just ask me, if you have specifics. Maybe you have another crypto asset that you're really curious about, like Chainlink, and you want to know more about that, or you want to know, say, one curious question that I always asked about Bitcoin was, how do you verify the money supply of Bitcoin? How do you know there's only 21 million Bitcoin? Well, I eventually looked at the code that's on github.com/Bitcoin, and in one of the files, there's the section that states how the money supply is coded, and stated in the code, and that gives you a sense of confidence in the claim that Bitcoin is limited in amount. Now, there's all sorts of details about the network architecture that determine its security. How secure is the network, and will it ever be hacked, and all those things. So we'll talk about those in the future. But it's been 22 minutes now, so I got to end this, and hopefully I don't have to re-record it. This is so a bit uncomfortable. I didn't predict this, but it's my first episode, so nobody will not many people will listen, I'm sure. But yeah, Bitcoin and the blockchain is as big of a change, without a doubt, as the discovery of oil, and obviously the internet as well. Was a massive change. Internet just happened so much quicker than the adoption of oil. But both events in history were absolutely significant. Now, what's interesting, I guess I'll leave on this note. What's interesting about Bitcoin and blockchain is, not only do we live in the age of the internet, where information moves so fast and change happens so fast, but since Bitcoin has to do with money, there's a really huge financial incentive for people to take the risk and adopt and learn about it, because it's like the internet and money having a baby, and or well, sorry, yeah, the internet and money having a baby. That's what Bitcoin is, um, and and it's I guess it's going to be a wild ride. So we'll see how it goes. I'm going to end off on that note, and I hope you enjoyed this, and I hope to talk to you soon. All right, peace.